Hey everybody, welcome to the Fractured Focus reaction to Game of Thrones Season 7 has just aired. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Gordon, coming in live from the great state of Nebraska, the original Swino of Omaha himself, Mr. Matt Swinehart. Matt, you ready to talk some Thrones?
Let's talk some Thrones.
Let's get down to brass tacks. What'd you think?
I think it was 98 degrees, but winter was coming. No, I thought it was fantastic.
It was awesome.
We're full spoiler, right?
Yeah. I mean,
nothing holding back.
Let's go ahead and bring that up. Obviously, you shouldn't be watching a reaction to something, especially something as pivotal as Game of Thrones, unless you know we're going to be talking about the episode. There's no real way to talk about this without getting spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episode, obviously, please go watch the episode first before you start watching our reaction. Then you can come back and you can watch this repeatedly. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and full spoilers. So go ahead and dive in. Tell me what you think.
Fantastic opening.
Yeah.
Just the way they started it.
Man, I remember them saying that this season is going to go very fast. Like, a lot of stuff is just going to start happening very quickly. And they weren't kidding. Before the opening credits even freaking aired, seeing Walder Frey, I'm like, huh, are they cutting back? Are they doing a flashback? And then really quickly you realize, okay, that's got to be Arya.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, that was the thing.
I didn't expect that, though. Did you? That she was going to not just kill Walder Frey, but by the way, in one single night, she's going to wipe out the entire Frey family? Holy shit.
I did not see that coming, but it definitely makes sense.
Yeah. No, that was really cool.
that was awesome.
Yep. Arya's already a badass. And then while we're on the topic of Arya, then she goes, were the soldiers that she sat down with at the fire, were those, I'm assuming those were like Lannister or
they look like Lannister army.
Right? But they all seemed,
and Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, but they all seemed like really nice guys that were openly talking about how they were excited to get away from King's Landing because it was such a shithole and people were awful, and they all seemed really nice. And I'm almost wondering, is this a misdirect? Because when you're a woman by herself, especially as young as she is, and you see a whole bunch of soldiers in the Middle Ages, wouldn't you be scared as hell to sit down with them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be a good situation.
Well, I was going to say, so where do you think they're going to go with that? Are these guys all going to turn out to be actually nice like they seem like it, or are we going to get something where they all attack her and then she ends up slaughtering them too?
I think there'll be one or two that try their hand at Arya.
Yeah.
I think so.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I think she's having a little moment of remorse or doubt.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a couple times where you could tell she was nervous. She was checking to see where their swords were or whatever, but they seemed to make a real point of all these guys there seemed really nice and down to earth. And to me, knowing George R. R. Martin, I'm like, why would you be making that strong of a point unless you were planning to go the complete other route? But maybe that's just misdirect. Who knows? That was really cool. What was some of your favorite parts from the episode?
Obviously that the Hound.
Mm-hmm.
He had a pretty predominant thing.
Yeah.
That whole remorseful thing. I mean, the fact that they went back to that same farmhouse, that he robbed them of their silver.
He really seemed like he's changed. I mean, he's still the kind of the jerk, asshole, whatever, but he also seems like he's kind of got a, whatever you want to call it, higher purpose. He just seems more compassionate now, like he's looking for a reason to exist.
Yeah. No, he still is who he is. I love the dialogue, and I love how he talks to people. I mean, he couldn't come back and be all, Prince Valiant-y.
Yeah. Well,
so that's fantastic.
Now that he's starting to have a little bit of a change of character, it's kind of interesting. I guess it makes sense. I'm wondering if this is the books or if this is David and I'm trying to remember if the other main writer or showrunner's name, Dan, I think it is, if they decided to just take this in this direction because it made sense, because they're really good writers themselves too, and I know that they communicate a lot with George R. R. Martin, but now we're at a point where stuff is happening that's not in the books. So is this their own creation, or is this something George R. R. Martin advised them to do? We really have no idea. But if you are going to take a character like the Hound, who's basically, remember all the speeches he used to give to like sons, like everyone's a killer, everyone's like me, everyone's evil.
Yeah.
And he seems to be definitely, you're right, maybe it's remorse, maybe it's just change of viewpoint on life, but hey, while you're going through this, let's go ahead and put you into something that is just going to exemplify that guilt, because it worked really well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we still haven't seen it. I mean, I kind of harken back to that when Arya attacked those people by the campfire.
Oh yeah.
After she got the knife, and then he goes, "Next time you're going to do that, tell me."
Tell me.
So is it that still Hound? Is that the Hound that's still there, or is he completely different?
Yeah. I love that character. I'm so glad that like they brought him back into the books and into the show. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of like a update on everybody, though. I mean, as far as for anything actually happening, there wasn't a ton of action.
No.
outside of the beginning,
Mm-mm.
because we got to see Sam is in the Citadel,
Mm-hmm.
apparently on shit duty.
Yeah, man. How much did you like? I don't know about you, but I was laughing for minutes because I'm like, man, this kid who's been shit on his whole life, even though he's born into a noble family, still shit on by his dad, gets sent off to the Night's Watch. He's shit on there. Finally gets to do what he's always wanted to do and focus on, studying and learning and being, a student of education and becoming a maester. And he's right back to square one where he's getting treated like shit. And he's literally cleaning up shit, and they kept showing it over and over.
Yeah.
I was halfway laughing and halfway I was dry heaving the whole time.
With him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see it from the inside of the Citadel. I loved that brief talk that he had with the guy that was doing their medieval autopsy, where he's just like, well, of course no one believes you. That's our job, is to doubt what everybody just says and study stuff. I thought that was really cool to see.
It was another guy from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Yep.
But I love that actor.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was really cool. And then we saw really quickly, like, the hand, we could tell that was Mormont's hand coming out, who has the grayscale, because you could hear him talk about his Daenerys back. I didn't know if we would see the end of him.
You saw the silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. At the end, you did. Yep. Because we don't know how much that's taken him over yet. But I thought it was possible that we wouldn't see him again. It was just over and his part was done. But clearly that's not the case.
I figured we'd see him and he'd either be like the ultimate sacrifice, or somehow he found some way to get it to stop. So it doesn't look like it, though.
Yep. And then seeing Sam break into and read some of the old forbidden texts out there was kind of cool. I loved how we find out that Dragonstone is actually on a mountain of dragon glass out there, because that's going to be really pivotal.
Yeah, and now who is there?
Yeah, that was cool. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the episode. I know the episode was called Dragonstone, and we only got to see Daenerys for a few minutes. But after 6 seasons, and for a lot of us, 6 years of build-up, to watch her finally set foot in Westeros and take a moment and put her hand in the sand and go into her castle that has been owned by her family for 300 years was really fucking cool. I thought that was awesome. What'd you think of the castle?
I can't believe that was abandoned.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I thought they'd have to fight for it.
I was wondering about that, because when she's coming in on the boat, when you can see that they're approaching Dragonstone, I was wondering, are they going to have to take it? Are they going to have to fight for it? Because we knew it was Stannis' castle, and he's been dead now for a while.
Yeah.
The Baratheons had it.
Maybe even a year or something.
Right. So the Baratheons are gone, but I'm assuming someone would have taken the castle. But I'm assuming that everybody kind of has some idea, or anybody that would occupy a castle at that point. That, by the way, there's a huge fucking army coming across the sea with 3 dragons and Daenerys Targaryen. Wouldn't it kind of make sense it would be completely deserted by the time we got there?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I could see that. But, I mean, it just kind of makes you think, was that a community? Was that really just a castle?
Well, I mean, if you go by the lore of the Song of Ice and Fire, I mean, there's the castle, and then there's also a town outside of the castle.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's slightly different. They can't make the castle do exactly the way it is in the books. They got to, take and do what they can do for a production standpoint. But, I mean, there is an actual town outside of the castle, but... that was freaking awesome, because we got to see some elements of Dragonstone we really never got to see before. See the throne room that we never got to see before. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
So we got that. Let's talk about Jon and Sansa. I thought that I'm loving the way that Jon is being King of the North. And I remember towards the end of last season when Littlefinger was telling Sansa, well, who should everybody get behind, you or Jon, the bastard or whatever. He's trying to create a rift between them, and I was really hoping that wasn't going to work and we're going to see a rift between these two, because, come on, we don't want to see that. They're the Starks. You've been through enough shit. Come together as a family. And there was a little bit of Sansa, I've learned so much, take my advice, take at least the information that I've gotten, apply it. But when she said, and I love the way that Jon stood up and said, no, we're not going to take it from them. We're not going to punish the kids for what the fathers have done. But I love the point when Sansa's even smiling at him and said, you're really good at this. She is behind him, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like Littlefinger's trying to push her you should be the one in charge, because I get the feeling, and you can tell me what you think, but I get the feeling that she's happy that Jon's the king and thinks that he'll do a really good job at it. But what do you think about the rift between them? Do you think it's going to get worse?
It probably will, just for dramatics.
Right.
I know Littlefinger keeps trying to put it there.
Yeah.
Keeps trying to push it.
But Sansa seems to like be aware of that and being like, dude, enough of your games. I know what you're doing. I love when she even cuts him up and says, you don't even need the last word. I'm sure it was something clever. That was awesome.
But if Sansa's shown anything in the past, is that she may think she knows what's going on, but she's completely naive to it at the same time.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's like, I know what he wants. Is she just thinking that he just wants her?
Yeah, we don't really know.
He wants the throne.
Right.
Ultimately, what it comes down to, he wants the throne. He doesn't care about anybody else. He wants to be in King's Landing, sitting on the throne.
He flat out told her that, didn't he? He said, more than anything, all I see is myself on the Iron Throne and you by my side.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, at this point, I think he's still trying to play his games. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. That was really cool. I didn't expect it. Maybe that made total sense. We should have seen that coming. But the brief scenes that we got with Jaime and Cersei when he's like, we need allies. Like, we have nothing. Yeah. Just because you're the queen doesn't mean shit. And then all of a sudden she does some kind of, or setting up an eventual, is going to happen, potential alloy with the Greyjoys. I thought that was really cool. I always like when we get those nuggets of stuff that's happened before that's clearly in the canon history that we might not be aware of, or at least those of us watching the show, when Jaime's talking about how, I remember your little Greyjoy rebellion. Then I cut down all your people and yada, yada. We don't trust you or whatever, too. But when he's like, I'm looking for a queen, and even when Cersei said, well, he was looking for a queen, and you're thinking marriage, I'm like, there's no way she would ever do that. That seems so out of character. Jaime would never allow it. And I'm so glad they didn't go that route and said, okay, we'll take marriage for the ships, because that would have just seemed weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I half expected it, though. But the way she played it was the way you imagine Cersei playing it.
Yeah.
So
I'm dying to know what kind of conversations that they've had between the end of season 6 and now between Jaime and Cersei. I mean, when he first came back and saw her coronation, can you imagine that? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, and how much time has passed?
Yeah, we don't really know.
Like, they showed that scene where it's Sam and Tully, or not Tully. What's her name?
Gilly.
Okay, Sam and Gilly, and then Sam Jr.'s there, and he looks like he's 3 or 4 years old now.
Yeah,
where he was an infant before.
Yeah, we really don't know. I mean, it can't be that much amount of time, but I mean, it's not like it was last week or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and then briefly we got to see Bran.
Yep.
He showed up at the wall.
He seems a little changed.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they didn't really dive into that much. I mean, obviously, they just reintroduced the character.
Yep.
Let you know he's going to be part of the season.
God, I can't get that image of Sam just cleaning up bedpans over and over and over in my head. So,
the ship scenes were cool.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them, even the Greyjoy ships were cool.
I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that was the Greyjoy ships approaching King's Landing, even though that was clearly the sign of
octopus and everything.
Yeah, that was obviously the sign of the Ironborn on it. I was thinking, wait a minute, why is Daenerys's ships approaching King's Landing? They're just gonna go for it right there. Why wouldn't they go to Dragonstone? The show's even called this episode's called Dragonstone, and then I'm like, oh, that's the Greyjoys. I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, they didn't really clue you into it until they cut to that scene where they're standing on the wall.
Yeah, but I mean, and for a lot of the people that are diehards about this, I'm sure we'll get comments about this, but I mean, it was clearly visible on all of the sails that it was that, that was their crest. No, it was really cool.
But I mean, theoretically too, though, the Greyjoys are part of Daenerys's rebellion.
Yeah, because they're kind of fractured. I mean, you're right. I mean, yeah, they're kind of split there.
Theon and his sister.
But they're all on the ships, you're right, that have the Targaryen sails and all that kind of stuff, too. But no, I thought this fucking episode was awesome. Everybody's been excited for this ramp-up for the longest time.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping it wasn't a letdown.
Yeah, I don't think it was. Do you?
No, I mean, I think it was a nice little, dipping your toes back into the water.
Yep. And again...
No episode 4 yet, or...
Right.
Episode 9, right? I mean, those are
from what the showrunners have been saying, that this season is going to go really fast. You can't assume that means every single episode is jump right in a battle, here we go, and stuff's going to happen so quickly. There's got to be at least a little bit of exposition to explain how we got from the end of season 6 to where we are right now, too. But
yeah,
I've got a feeling, I mean, there's only 7 episodes that stuff's going to start happening really fast, but I thought it was a great episode. You?
I thought it was good.
Cool. Got anything else you want to sum up with?
Glad I didn't have to wait a year to see it though.
Fuck you. The guy who finally started watching a few months ago got to watch all 6 seasons right in a row and then jump right into season 7. You don't even know the
It's gonna
pain.
be tough to wait till next week.
Oh yeah, you poor thing. You don't even know the pain and torture that the majority of us had to wait. Now I didn't get in until after 3 seasons. It already aired 2, so I'm sure a lot of people could say that about myself as well. But having to wait a year and then get 10 episodes, and then a year and then get 10 episodes. This is freaking awesome. I can't wait to see what happens. Let's go ahead and end it with what do we think we're going to see in the next episode. I mean, obviously, we're not going to get too specific, but we know that Daenerys is at Dragonstone. What do you think is going to happen with them? What about Jon and Sansa and everybody up in the north? I mean, I can't imagine some exciting episodes of them just prepping and training men, women, and children. Something's got to be kicking in.
Well, based off the trailers that they've had. I think now that she's at Dragonstone, she's going to start reaching out for allies. So she's going to go to Dorne, maybe Highgarden.
Because they've already got Dorne under the fold, right? Didn't Varys in season 6 go to Dorne and say, let's make a pact? And they have both the Tyrells, the only one left, Elena the grandmother. And then they've got the Dornish women, so they know they've already got those. But I loved how the episode even ended with just her sitting down at the same table that Aegon Targaryen, when he first took over Westeros, carved here with the battle plans and said, shall we begin? That was fucking awesome.
Yeah. That was a great ending.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess we'll just see what happens with the rest of it.
Yep.
I'm excited. I don't want to make too many predictions.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff we're going to predict is obviously prune juice guarantee going to happen, but we might miss it by an episode or two and where it happens in the timeline. And we'll
find out that Ferris is a merman.
I'm freaking excited. This is awesome. It's great to be back in Game of Thrones territory. So cool. Well, for those of you watching, let us know what you think in the comments below. What did you think of the first episode of season 7? Don't forget, you can always check us out on Fractured Focus as we post regular episodes and talk about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. And you can always check us out at youtube.com/fracturedfocus as we try to entertain you with our semi-witty banter and our incessant rambling. With that being said, I hope everybody dreams of Sam cleaning bedpans for the next week leading up to the next episode.
Lovely imagery.
Until next time.